Now, an Antrim-based couple who sued gossip site Tattle Life have been awarded £300,000.
Joining us to discuss the lawsuit and the impact of gossiping is CEO of Goss.ie, Ryan and Cyberphycologist Nicola Fox Hamilton.
Good morning.
Thank you both so much for being here. Two people who are very aware of Tattle Life. But for anyone who mightn't be, Ali, what is it?
Yeah, I even argue against the name gossip website because it's beyond gossip. It is a trolling website. For anyone who's never been on it before, it's basically a thread. It's a forum. So you might know sites like Reddit or boards.ie they've been on before. However, this website was specifically set up with the only goal of targeting people in the public eye. It literally says it on the homepage that they are there to hold people accountable. Unfortunately, it's gone from holding people accountable to just absolutely outright harassing people, stalking people, and very importantly, what this case was about, defaming people. Anyone can go on there. I could go on there right now and write wild rumours about both of you, and anyone who Googles both of your names, it would come up immediately, and that accusation would live there forever. That's what people in the public eye have been dealing with this whole time. Unsubstantiated claims, complete lies, and on top of that, maybe following them, saying where they live, where their kids go to school, and then just general harassment, how they look, how they mother, how they do their job, that they do it bad, that they're liars. All of these things fall under defamation and harassment.
And who are these couple then?
Yes.
Were they in the public eye?
So Neil and Donna Sands, yes. So Donna owns a company called Silky, a fashion company. So she'd be kind of on the scene in the north, and she had an Instagram account. There was about 22,000 followers on it. The important thing about that case is, and I think it's actually really good that we don't really know them before, because the point is, it does not matter how well known or little known you are. If you are defamed in any way online, you have a right to sue. So their businesses, they both own businesses, they were being defamed. Now, what exactly was said hasn't been released, and I think that's a good thing. We don't need to know what people were slagging them off about, but it was enough for a judge to make a landmark ruling. It is the largest payout in the history of the state, £300,000, which roughly €350,000. Not aside from the legal costs, which are also £300,000, and his accounts, the owner, Sebastian Bond, his accounts have been frozen as well, and they're due back to court on the 26th. So it's very, very serious. Judge McAlinden as well, in his actual judgment, which was crazy to read, he literally said a day of reckoning is to come for everyone who uses the site, writes on the site, and who owns the site. It's very, very serious. So
the person who owns Sebastian Bond has been named as the owner of this site. An awful lot of people on this site, Nicola, they would be anonymous. They would sign up.
Yeah.
They wouldn't have to, like most things, you can sign up, you can have multiple accounts.
Yes.
So, as it said, it was to hold people to account. Can I just say anyone with 200 followers, 100 followers could be held to account on this sort of site. So, a lot of people said that it was like it's for the good of people to hold, that it was a good thing that was happening on this site, and that's why it was there.
Yeah, no, it's absolutely not.
What's going on Tattle Life?
So it is, it's called a gossip site. They call it a gossip site. It's not. It's more accurately like a site to bash and defame people, harass people, stalk people, and troll people. So it's really, really toxic, negative behaviour. I mean, Ali's talked about how it's defaming so many people. But I think the fact that it is anonymous, so all of the people on there are feeling like it's not connected to their offline life, and so they can't be held accountable. So there's a moral disengagement with that, where you feel like, no one can see what you're doing, and that invisibility encourages people to behave in ways that they wouldn't. And then anyone who spends time on there starts to see it as more socially acceptable and normal, and so they're more likely to engage in it. So even people who kind of go on to have a look and see what's there will often find themselves getting caught up in it. But it is actually the main motivation for this kind of behaviour, particularly for the gossiping and pulling celebrities down, is actually envy. And there's two types of envy. You can have benign envy, where like everyone's experienced it, where you see someone doing really well and you're like, oh, I wish I had that, and maybe it doesn't feel so good. But malicious envy is where you're like, I wish I could have that. That person doesn't deserve it. I need to drag them down below my level so that I can feel better about myself. Now, that doesn't work. You don't feel better about yourself. That malicious envy is very much related to lower self-esteem, lower well-being. It's not healthy for people. So it's not good for the people who are being talked about. It's also not good for the people who are doing the talking either.
It's crazy, isn't it? Ali, can I ask you, how is this allowed? Is there no laws against this?
This is the problem, I suppose, and I feel like I've been waiting for so long for a case like this to happen, so that there could be a test case for legislation to come in. Currently, there's no legislation surrounding anonymous accounts and anonymity online.
So anybody can set up an account slag us all off here this morning and say things.
Same thing on Facebook or Instagram.
Yeah,
everywhere.
but is there not laws on Facebook and Instagram?
There is. So Twitter, for example, I'll give you an example there. There has been successful cases in Ireland where there has been anonymous threads on Twitter and they have been unmasked. There's something called a Norwick-Pharmacal order. But until recently, it was in the High Court. So it's basically you go to a judge and you ask them to unveil anonymous accounts. Who do you give that order to? The owner of Twitter. The problem has been until last week, nobody knew who owned the website. So there are legal mechanisms, but nobody knew who owned the website to order, give them the papers, basically. So a Norwick-Pharmacal order, if there is anyone watching that is looking to sue, it's moved down to the Circuit Court now. So it is a little bit more affordable. It's still expensive, but it is affordable. And that is specifically to unveil the people who are writing those comments. Aside from that, the other legal action would be to take Sebastian Bond to court.
Will that happen? Tattlers be unveiled?
I'm 100% convinced that it will happen. Absolutely.
You think as well,
of it from his point of view.
Yeah, I think for the people maybe who are most prolific on there and who targeted multiple people, you could possibly get a group of people coming together to unveil them. I think that would probably be a good strategic move from them.
And then could there be something that they could be sued?
Yeah, absolutely. See, so the laws for defamation in Ireland are actually one of the strictest in the world. That's what makes this whole situation very, very frustrating.
Is
exactly
it different
what you're
in
saying.
Northern Ireland?
No, it's as strong here and the UK, but Ireland in particular. So like in the US, for example, you have TMZ, you have the National Enquirer.
Yeah.
You can write whatever you want. Freedom of speech is so big there. In Ireland, it is not the case. Only 2 people of sound mind have to think less of you based on one comment that's been written or said out loud. I have a law degree as well, by the way, aside from Goss. This is why I know these things, right? So that's all it takes. So there's been a lot of, even in broadcast as well, a lot of broadcasters have been sued because someone has given a comment on a show, on a radio show, that has been defamatory. And it's minimum €50,000 payout. But this side has allowed people to do it with no repercussions. But that is now going to change, and it absolutely will change. Not only will there be now the mechanisms of the Norwick-Pharmacal order, but we know who owns it now. So they, 350k was their payout, 300,000 legal fees, then even 1.2 million frozen assets. Imagine that happens just 2 more times. I can't see the site continuing.
And we know that Sebastian Bond did go kind of on the run. He was in Asia and moving things all around the place. But this is not over. It's very interesting as to what's going on online for you, for your children, for everybody. Ali Ryan, CEO of Goss.ie, and of course, with your law degree, doing as much as you possibly can. And Nicola Fox Hamilton, cyberpsychologist. Thank you both so much for being with us.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate it.